Cliff Thorburns' accidental miss ended up creating one of the most legendary moments in snooker history, the birth of the first ever 147 at the World Championship. That one missed shot somehow became a gift from fate. At the time, a 147 was almost untouchable, like a myth, and one unintentional mistake from Thorburn became the starting point of that legend.
Spread open beautifully.
In the 1970s, snooker was still an era ruled by safety play. Back then, matches were built around defense, and attacking was far harder than it is today. There were no modern specialist coaches, no modern professional tables, and the idea of making a 147 was almost unthinkable.
17.
And Thorburns' 147 was not luck. The night before the match, he actually dreamed that he would make a maximum 147, and somehow that sign came true the very next day. At that moment, his 147 was not just a personal achievement, it was something that felt impossible for that era of snooker.
25.
In snooker, 147 is not just a technical challenge, it is a test of mentality at the absolute limit. When Thorburn stood at the table, with the reds sitting nicely, and the black available, he was not thinking about 147. He only wanted one thing, to win the match. But as each shot kept going in, he slowly realized that the chance in front of him could not be wasted. So he let himself go for it, and in the end, he pushed with everything he had to chase a goal that, at the time, almost nobody believed could be done. This was not a random impulse, it was the result of countless hours of training. That 147 was a huge breakthrough in snooker history. It tested more than skill, it tested a player's mentality under extreme pressure. In total silence, with the whole room watching, how do you stop yourself from falling apart?
And that's a good shot. Soft screw there just to hold.
The other key figure in this match was Terry Griffiths. He was not only Thorburns' opponent, but also one of the brightest names in snooker at the time. Griffiths burst onto the scene and won the World Championship within a very short time. Even though his career later had ups and downs, he eventually became a great coach, helping develop world-class players, including O'Sullivan, Williams, and Ding Junhui. In this match, even though he lost, he witnessed a piece of history. For Griffiths, that defeat was not really a regret, because he saw, with his own eyes, the first 147 in snooker history.
Well,
Thorburns' 147 was not just a beautiful clearance, it was a performance that broke through the limits. In the snooker environment of that time, this 147 was almost an unbreakable wall. The pace of the game in the 1970s was extremely slow, focused on safety and careful table control. For a 147 to happen, a player had to complete 36 perfect shots, without a single mistake. One tiny error, and everything was gone. So Thorburns' 147 was not only a technical breakthrough, it was also a psychological and emotional one. Every shot he played in that moment was a challenge to himself and a shock to everyone watching.
And Griffiths, quite aware that he's lost the frame now. I am sure that he is hoping and praying that Cliff Thorburn will do this.
97.
Why is this 147 so classic? Because it shattered everybody's expectations and gave snooker a new possibility. From that moment on, snooker was no longer just a game of safety, it became a dream that could be chased. And from that point forward, the sport started giving birth to even more legends. 147 was no longer just a number. It became the holy grail of snooker.
Keep rolling. And they have actually stopped playing on the other table.
When Thorburn potted the final red and secured enough points, the arena did not explode with cheers the way people might expect. That was not disrespect from the fans. That was simply the atmosphere of snooker at the time. People were afraid that even the smallest sound might distract the player and ruin the moment. And in that near-silent environment, every shot Thorburn played carried even more pressure. Every ball was a challenge against the limit of his own nerves. That almost total silence did not make it easier. It made the pressure even heavier. But in the end, Thorburn still did it. He completed the historic 147 in 17 minutes. There were a few moments along the way that were not perfect, but it was exactly that willingness to take risks that made this break such a legendary chapter in snooker history. To this day, Thorburn's 147 is still part of snooker mythology. Not only because of the technical level, but because it was done under conditions that were much harder than today. It marked the beginning of a new era in snooker history. 147 stopped being just a challenge for one player. It became a symbol for all snooker lovers. Surpass yourself, dare to fight, and challenge the impossible. For Thorburn, this 147 gave him a kind of honor beyond comparison. That honor did not come from prize money. It came from history, because from that day on, he had already left an unforgettable mark in the long river of snooker and became an immortal legend.